So this is, all these things are necessary, but they're all coming from Krishna. But when Krishna manifests these things, these different energies, Parasya Shakti Vividhai Prashuyate Swabhaviki, Krishna does it by automatically. Jnana Bala Kriyacha. All these things, they're manifested automatically. He doesn't have to make any concerted effort. But within each universe, Teni Brahma Hridava Adi Kavaye, the knowledge goes into the heart of Brahma, and Brahma apparently manifested. And Brahma is so potent and powerful that even Narada Muni, he was asking, is there someone beyond you? Or the Yamadutas, they asked Yamaraj, is there someone beyond you? So I say that because everyone in this material world except the Vaishnavas, they're attributing that everything is coming from someplace else. And as Krishna describes in 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the demons think there's no cause. No, there's no cause. Ahituki. No, there's no cause. It's just happening. And the only real cause is lust. And kamahaituka. This is the cause. So this is, and now we go. I'll go to the next verse. I just wanted to emphasize that these things are all very useful when we're in the conditioned state within the material world. Or pranava, of course, is always useful for those who are meditating and for beginning all Vishnu mantras. It's very, very necessary. Of course, other mantras also. And it brings Vishnu into every mantra. But it's ultimately for the functioning of this material world. So I'll go on to text 45. Tasyos negasil lomabhyo gayatri cha tvacho vibho chishtum mam sat snuton snubto jagat jasna prajapate. Translation, Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, the art of literary expression, ushnik, was generated from the hairs on the body of the almighty Prajapati. The principal Vedic hymn, Gayatri, was generated from the skin. Trishtup, from the flesh. Anushtup, from the veins. And Jagati, from the bones of the Lord of the living entities. So Srila Prabhupada has mentioned that Lord Brahma, his body is made of subtle elements. So how can we say that there are bones or veins? Otherwise, he doesn't have, water and all these things in his body like we do, and bones and flesh. Very subtle. But even within that subtle composition, there's some semblance, something that holds it all together. Although coming from the subtle platform and veins, meaning there's energy, there's prana. Even when Dhruva Maharaj was meditating, very his powerful meditation actually held up the prana, the flow of prana within the universe, and the demigods became bewildered and disturbed, and it was disturbing the whole universe. Whenever we do something for Krishna, it becomes beneficial for the universe. And whenever we do something for ourselves, it becomes disturbing. We may not be so powerful to disturb the universe, but we can certainly disturb someone, or we can disturb ourselves with our mind, which is very common. But any time that our activities, our thoughts, our words, karmana manasa gira, are dedicated to anything other than the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then they become a disturbance. Whenever one Nikilasvasivastasu. Whenever someone is situated apparently as a common citizen of this world, ihayasya harirdasye, if they're engaged in serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, jivan mukta sa uchate. They are liberated because karmana manasa gira. Their activities, their thoughts, and their words are all dedicated to the glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, just like there's description, especially in the second canto, of the universal form of the Lord. So, it's a partially imaginary and partially manifest form of the Lord, but it's not an eternal form of the Lord. It's simply a way the Lord accepts the elements as his body. So the same way Brahma doesn't have bones like us, doesn't have skin like us, doesn't have veins like us. But some semblance is there. And all these things are being manifested. And of course, these are all beneficial. Vedic hymns, literary expression, and all these different meters, Trishtup, Anustup, and Jagati. These are different meters for the Vedic hymns. When the Vedic hymns come, there's a way to chant them. Just like one time one devotee came to Mayapur, who later became a sannyasi, and he brought his guitar, and he came to Srila Prabhupada. He said, Prabhupada, I wrote a song glorifying Krishna. Can I sing it for you? So Prabhupada did. So he took his guitar and sang the song. And he was waiting for Prabhupada to say, he told me this personally, wow, that was wonderful. And so Prabhupada just, kind of, as he would just raise his head, and so Prabhupada, did you like it? And he said, yes, it is a nice sentiment. But if you want to know how to glorify Krishna, study the songs of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Narottam Das Thakur. So he definitely got a deflation. He was expecting Prabhupada to say, oh, wonderful. Actually, anyone who had any experience with Prabhupada understood that, generally speaking, he didn't respond in the way that we would want him to, but he responded in such a way that would be beneficial in the long run, although one may not perceive the benefit right away. So, anyway, but all these meters and everything, it's important. All these technical aspects of how to chant the Vedic hymns, how to chant the Maha Mantra. Just like in the beginning, we just want people to chant. But after some time, there's some science to it. Just like I often get the question about Shikshastika, that it says there's no rules. No rules for chanting. Yes, that means there's these Vedic rules that are being enunciated here are not applicable to the chanting of the Maha Mantra. But the rules of avoiding the 10 offenses, that's very much applicable. And especially the rule of attentive chanting. Very, very applicable. And so these are wonderful things that Brahma is manifesting for the organization of the universe on the basis of real spiritual principles. And in other words, we can understand from this these aspects being generated that the whole universe is meant for spiritual upliftment. It's not meant for conditioned life. And therefore, dukkhalayama shashvatam. Therefore, it's a place of misery. Otherwise, Krishna announces, we get our hopes up that here I am in the material world, I've got some opportunities, I've got some chances. But Krishna says, no, dukkhalayama shashvatam. You will be frustrated. No, you will be frustrated. And devotee is very happy for that frustration. Very happy. Because whenever one of these frustrations, miseries, etc., manifest, then we can think it's meant to wake us up. And then when people don't wake up, then we get bigger disasters. Earthquakes, tidal waves, climate change. And the more that people go on trying to ignore Krishna's message, either direct or indirect, the worse it gets. Until one becomes a devotee, and then all those things that people perceive as bad, worse, miserable, a devotee thinks, opportunity to advance, opportunity to understand. Everything for a devotee is an opportunity. And everything for a person who is not engaged in devotional service is